Welcome back to the RetroWolf podcast. And today's guest is a good friend of mine and a fellow YouTuber. His name is Brandon. His YouTube channel is called Viracy or Viracy. What's the proper way to pronounce that?
It's Viracy.
Viracy. Perfect. Yeah. His YouTube channel is Viracy. And Brandon, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
I am A-okay. I'm quite grand.
Quite grand. Hell yeah. Awesome. So Brandon, if you don't mind, man, for the people in my audience that may not be familiar with you or your YouTube channel, go ahead and tell us a bit about yourself and what your YouTube channel is all about. And also I'd like to hear about what you do on with hackinformer.com as well.
Yeah, so hackinformer.com is really the impetus for the whole YouTube idea. Like I was envious of people on YouTube. I don't know if I naively thought it was easy or something, but I would always see people on YouTube and be like, man, I do that every day. Why am I not making videos for it? But I didn't. And for the longest time, I didn't. And then Hack Informer, which is like a website for video game hacks and mods and everything to do with game tech and stuff as well, had just made a tweet one random day and I was following them. And they hadn't tweeted in forever. And they said, hey, we're looking for like a couple of people to write for us. If you like games and want to review games or tech or talk about mods, like just let us know. And I did. It was like a two paragraph email. And he's like, you didn't even need to type me that much. You know, it was just, he was cool with me working with him. And then after a while, I got tired of typing out all the articles and hullabaloo like that. So I started making the videos to just supplement the articles to make them more multimedia when none of the other people were doing that. So now what I'll do is I'll get a product to review, I'll unbox it on YouTube. And then when it's time to have the article made, I'll review the product, obviously, write up the article, and I'll add the unboxing video in. And then later on, I'll make like another video that is relevant to the same system or something like, oh, remember that one article where I did the unboxing for that? Well, now I have another part to add in. So like, as you may already know, I'm working on an Ultimate Game Gear right now. So I've reviewed like an IPS backlit screen for it and the Retro 6 shell. And oh my gosh, more things to it that I can't remember right now, but that's what I'm actively working on. So there's going to be multiple videos for it that kind of make the whole, I don't even know what's a good analogy there. It just finishes the whole thing off nicely, so.
Nice. So if you had to describe your YouTube channel separate from Hack Informer, how would you describe your YouTube channel?
Sometimes there's just, there's definitely videos on there unrelated to that for sure. I like to do the same things that other game YouTubers like to do too. Like I love finding pickups and sharing them with people.
Oh yeah.
And not, like I'm better than you. I found this this expensive game or something of that magnitude. Just like I'm proud of myself that I came across this. And here's some other things too. We're all nerds. Hopefully you like books and movies and stuff too. So I have those pickup videos and I have, oh man, it's so hard to stay remember everything with my ADHD. But as a description of it, I would just say that I try to be open to making videos that, older gamers, maybe like people that are 30 plus like, but hopefully, I can speak to people that want to see retro things as like something that they didn't grow up with, but they're interested and they can find ways to make it more relevant and useful in a day-to-day thing. So a 20-year-old might be like, damn, Sega Game Gear looks dope, but I'm not down with 6 AA batteries and a dingy screen. Well, here, let me show you all these extra things you could do to it. And, hopefully they really enjoy that.
Yeah, so I'm actually looking forward to that, man, because I've got a Game Gear and I was thinking to myself the other day, you know what? That's going to be a future project.
Right. It's definitely intense. I botched my first one. I'm admitting that out loud. I for sure, I think I did something to it. I don't know exactly what I did. I might have, oh my God, I could have done any number of things. I just didn't want to mess with trying to figure it out. I found another one for parts and that's the new one.
Nice. Yeah, have you already completed that one or is it still a work in progress?
No, I was, this week I've been really busy, but so yesterday I did some before I went off to the day job and I did some when I got back. And then I did some this morning. And so just probably throughout the rest of this week, I'll finish putting it all together because when you're recording, you have to like think about like, oh man, can the camera see the little innate details of it and things of that nature. So you don't want to, because if you just suddenly skip ahead, then you have to do that. Oh, some of this was done off camera. And then if it's something that somebody actually wanted to see, they're like, no, that's the part I was waiting for.
Yeah.
So that's It's
Yeah.
definitely one of those things where I try to do it bit by bit. But if I miss something, I'm not going to unsolder it and re-solder it. That would just be too tedious. Yeah.
So would you say the video that you're working on, is it more of an instructional video to teach people how to do the mod, or is it more of a, hey, this is just kind of the process?
That's a good question. Obviously, I have, the unboxing of all the little parts that I'm using, and I'll have like a video in the end of the assembled product. But this one, no, it's really damn tedious. There's no way that I just don't think I don't think that there's any use of me telling the same instructions first of all over again, because they have the written instructions on their site in perfect plain English. They have a video themselves of people doing it, and it's not a new product. It's like a year or something old, so other people have done it. But that doesn't mean that if people are so, how do I word it? With YouTube, everything's always pushed up, right? So if you miss something a year ago when it came out, you might not find it again, especially if you don't remember what it's called. But if somebody happens to have the video suggested to you, or it's retweeted by somebody else through like my Twitter or something, then hopefully that still sparks some, oh shit, and then they watch it. Oh snap, that's cool. It seems easy enough. Now I'm going to go look for the actual detailed instructions. So I'll still definitely share that on Hack Inform. I'll give the detailed instructions on how to do it. I'll share tips that the people who created it have shared with me personally, or other ones that I picked up along the way that I learned personally, or ones that I saw from another video. So I don't want anybody to think that, I have all the knowledge, but I'm going to collect what I can and hopefully make it as easy as I can in an article. And if the video is going to supplement it for them and give them a point of reference as to what I'm talking about at any given point, then that's still useful.
Yeah, man, dude, one of the problems that I ran into with that Game Boy Advance mod that I did, which I'm going to talk about in the video that I do on it, which I don't even know when I'm going to have a chance to work on that. But anyways, one of the problems I ran into, so the backlit screen comes with comes with some 3M tape that's pre-cut to go into the shell of the Game Boy. But here's the problem. The 3M tape, the pre-cut portion of it, didn't match the shape of the shell on the inside. Like I saw a lot of people in videos, they just unpeeled their 3M tape and boom, it just fit perfectly. But it wasn't the case this time. And man, I had to fight with that. I had to cut pieces of the excess 3M tape to try to repurpose it. And man, it was, that part was a nightmare. It took me about an hour just to get the freaking 3M tape on because I ran into so many problems, but I made it work. And, the screen went on just fine. But man, next time I do a project like that, I might do that a little bit different.
Mine was the one that they sent me for review had all that stuff pre-assembled. But I did do the Sega Game Gear uses the same scenario. So you have to put the glass lens on the shell, and it's almost like the Game Boy Advance in that the bezel shape isn't exactly like a perfect shape, some kind of trapezoid or rhombus or whatever the hell the shape name is. But so that one, I noticed that the 3M tape was like ever so slightly wider than the glass. And in the video, it looks, I just put it right in, but like kind of not. I had to like cut out some of the beginning stuff and just make it look like, it's seamless, because nobody wants to watch you fiddle around with the crappy stuff. They just want to see how it looks and how it works. So mine wasn't as bad as that for sure, but it was definitely, I was afraid I was gonna have to like maybe melt some of the tape like underneath, so it just came in from the edge like a little bit smaller, but I got lucky. I just forced it into that corner and then pushed the rest down and it just stayed.
Nice. Yeah, that's good. So when did you start getting into modding and hacking and different things like that?
I think the PSP is the back in the day when Dark Alex, I don't know if you know that name, man. Back in the day, the 1.01 firmware was like, I think, like some people had it, but not everybody did, and that was hackable, and then Sony patched it. But then I think 1.50 came out, and it was obviously always a cat and mouse game. Somebody would release a custom firmware, Sony would patch it. They'd release another custom firmware the next day, Sony would patch it. So for years, I was always part of that back and forth. It was exhilarating. I'd literally wake up and I'd go to some forum page. I don't even remember what it is anymore, but it's not there any longer. And people are like, oh, here's the new one. And, and then Dark Alex left, and there was like a dense time frame where there was nothing for some chunk of time. And then finally, all these other people started popping up, and thank God. And I felt this sense of relief, and I was wondering, like, can I do anything? Like, is there any way I can help? And no, there wasn't. But I started to look around me in the world in my room, and I started seeing more and more consoles. I'm like, I wonder if there's mods for that, and I wonder if I could do anything for that. And as I researched more, the PSP was super easy, but there's other things in the world. And it was about that time that I got a Wii. Like, I waited outside for there was like 2 waves of Wii's. The first release, and then the second one is when I got one, and I got it with Twilight Princess, and that game essentially unlocked the Wii. So I had the PSP and I had the Wii, and it was just doors wide open. There wasn't anything. I got an iPhone because I wanted to be able to have a phone that I could customize the way I wanted it to be. And then Androids came out. I was like, shit, do I want an Android now? Because those are just like practically customizable out of the box,
right?
You know, but so at some point, again, my memory's fuzzy, but I just started modding PS2s, Wii, PSPs, jailbreak iPhone, iDevices in general, Android. I would root those things, and I did this as a service locally for people, and I was making hand over fist and money. Way more than I was making at my day job, but you know, you have a day job because that's consistent money,
right? Yeah.
As time went on, I moved around a lot, and so it was hard to go, you know, back to the other city where I'd set it up, and I moved to another city. It was like an hour away, and I didn't want to go back and forth. And then I moved to Chicago, and now I'm in Kansas. I just kind of stopped doing it when I moved to Chicago, like 7 years ago. I don't know when it was, but the point was, I still personally do my own stuff. I'm now in an endeavor to get some kind of mod on every single system that I have. Like, even if it's just a video out mod on an Atari 2600 to make it look better and not be the little coax cable, you know, anything that can at least make it ease of use easier is fine by me. But I would love to be able to have backups so I can play games that are legally owned legitimately and things of that nature. But you know, anymore, I love also case mods because I just want everything to be red. I love red controllers and red consoles, and so that's I am probably going to buy a Retro 6 shell to replace the one that they gave me for the review unit of the GBA, and a red one. It'll be the same texture of the one that I gave you, the black one. So so that's pretty cool. I don't know. Is that a spoiler yet? Does anybody know? You got
no. It's by the time this podcast comes out, because I'm way ahead on podcast episodes. By the time this podcast comes out, that video will probably already be out.
Nice. I do my friends systems too, obviously. PS4 and stuff like that too. So I have a modded PS4. And my other friend was mad that I was never online because with a modded PS4, you don't want to go online. You risk a ban. But so he just my friends and my girlfriend last year got me a PS4 Pro for my was it last year? It doesn't matter. One of my birthdays previously got me that. So sometimes you can't do everything you want on a system. But I really don't play online that much, but they still went all in on getting me a PS4 Pro.
Nice.
So
I like the PS4 Pro.
It's definitely slick, and it makes using the PSVR a lot smoother too. Not that it's bad on the other one, but it's definitely more viable as an option on the PS4 Pro.
Oh yeah. I'll tell you a mod that I'm really interested in doing, man, but it's from what I looked at, because I looked at some instructions on it, and it's more advanced than what I feel comfortable doing right now, but eventually I'm going to try to tackle it, and that is the HDMI mod on the GameCube, where you actually freaking solder it to the board. I mean, I would personally love that too. I mean, I can tolerate, you know, the GCHD. Would it be a lot easier to not have a dongle hanging out of the back? Yes, most definitely. I think that's my point of contention with it. Any HDMI solution is going to be more cumbersome than it needs to be. But a lot of people, you weigh in that between either soldering something and potentially ruin your own GameCube or paying somebody a multitude of money just to do it, you know, so. Yeah, it's pretty advanced looking, man. I looked at it. There's a lot of soldering you have to do, and you got to tear it down all the way down to the motherboard.
There is another one though coming out. I swear on everything, I saw another one from another company, or maybe just an easier version of it from the same company.
Nice.
And so that's interesting. If I find it again, I'll just send you over the information that's been released so far. It's not out yet. I know that no matter what it is, it's not out yet. So
cool. Yeah. Hey, if it's a little easier and it still works good or better, hey, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
So what are some of the like notable mods that you've done that you can mention?
Notable. That's a good question, because some mods there's only so much you can do with it. You know, like the PlayStation 2 has a lot of stuff you can do with it. If you have a fat one, obviously it has a hard drive space.
Yeah, yeah.
But all you could really do on it is you could play some homebrew, but there's not a whole lot there. So I don't know. Some systems you just can't do that much with. The Wii is. I would say that there's some things that I own that are modded that would I call that modded? Some things that I own that I am personally proud of that that are above and beyond the standardized things. Like I have 3 Xboxes, the OG Xboxes. I have one that's of course soft modded and has homebrew and has emulators and it has backups on it and a custom dashboard so that everything's looks a lot better than what Microsoft gave us and maybe more useful. But I also have 2 other Xboxes, right, that have oh my god, I'm gonna botch this because I don't remember off the top of my head. Just like RAM upgrades. Anyway, they have a higher like CPU speed on them. So
nice.
And they're 2 different. God damn, I just haven't used them in forever, so you'll have to forgive me. So I'm sure somebody that watches this is going to be pulling their hair out. I think one's a 1.6 gigahertz and the other one is a 2.1 gigahertz. And I know it doesn't sound like, okay, so what's the point of having that? Can you run games faster?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's the way that Microsoft, like I think their dev kits, for instance, had higher gigahertz value so that they could develop games that way, but of course dialed it back when they would release onto retail consoles. I have 2 of them. I don't know if because I know that you can personally do a mod yourself to make that be upgraded. I don't think that they're dev kits themselves. I am pretty relatively certain that somebody did it themselves. I got it from a friend who I've known forever, but he bought the 2 of them off of Assembler Games back in the day when Assembler Games was a forum for hackers and stuff like that. So I have those 2. I don't use them like I should, but a cool thing you can do with one of them anyway, and the reason I'm proud of it is because you can play like arcade games that have been made with a certain motherboard in mind that were basically Xbox, inside the machines, and so these can run that.
Nice.
So that was the reason I got it, and that's the reason I obviously you use the one that's 2.1 gigahertz, right? Because that's the better of the 2. But he's like, dude, I need cash really badly. Can I just sell you the both of these for X amount of money flat? And I was like, yes. But I mean, notable mods that I've personally done. Most of the stuff is free. Let me state that. So a lot of the things I get are free for review, right? As I mentioned before. But so these things are really notable because these businesses want their name to be out there. They want their products to be out there. They want to be known for what they're doing and show that it's worth its weight in gold, as it were. So if I had the money, I don't know that I'd be spending the money on these things personally. Like I wouldn't. I don't know that it would be worth it to me to do some of these things. But I'm really loving the whole arcade 1-up upgrade that I did here. And
nice.
It's you can replace the entire control board. You can replace the kickboard. You can replace the whole like outside if you want to. They give you dual speakers, and then of course you get an arcade or not an arcade. And of course you get a Raspberry Pi with it as well, and it already has the operating system preloaded, and it just makes better use of the screen space too. It has a lot of upgrade features. So the reason I think that this is notable is just because other people have arcade 1-ups that come over to your house. They don't think twice about it. Yeah. But if those people come over to your house and you have it flipped on and it has the attract mode going and it's toggling through the games, they're like, what the hell is that? And so, it's more of a conversation piece, something like this is. But of course, when you walk out in the public and you have a Nintendo Switch that has a custom theme on it or something, that makes people go, how the hell did you do that? Oh, well, I mean, it's modded, so, I don't want to do that. There's so much of that, like people like, oh, they kind of shy away from it. But, or if you take a Game Boy Advance out into public, something like that, that it has just a different shell on it, it has a bright, vibrant screen, and you're not switching out cartridges one after another, you're just changing games on the fly. I like to take stuff like that to like gaming conventions and nerd conventions and stuff like that with me, and just, well, you're waiting in line anyway, why not play stuff and show stuff to people?
Cool. So what are some of the mods that you have maybe planned for the future beyond the Game Gear? Do you have any like future ideas you want to do or try?
That is another good question, man. You were just firing them off. I generally don't plan stuff because the instant I plan something, the instant it all falls apart. I'm like, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do that. Okay, I lose it. The next thing that I'm doing, I believe, is a PSP 1000 repair. I used to have the first generation PSP. I loved it. It was heavy. It was dense. And somewhere along the way, I lost it. I have replaced the other two PSPs I had, the slimmer one and the slim and light model, but I never replaced my OG PSP.
Yeah.
So I bought it from somebody, some nice person on Twitter that follows me, and they were like, "Hey, it's been in my closet." They're like, "Name your price." I was like, $30. And they're like, "It's really rough on the outside, and there's no thumbstick, and this and that, but it does boot." And so I think I'm gonna. I don't know if I'm really kind of actually intimidated by the PSP and its innards and whatnot.
Yeah.
I've seen plenty of videos. I know I could take the shell off and put a clean one on.
Yeah.
But I just love the way it looks so much, the PSP, that I would want to replace it with its own official shell. I think I'll just try to buff all the scratches out of that one, but that's just a repair. That's not even a mod.
Yeah.
I have to turn around for a second because I have some things that are back here. I might go all in on the Dreamcast. I bought. Oh, I actually have it handy. Here's the tip at home, kids: don't buy clones. These things are like, they make them in small batches, the official ones.
What is that?
It's the GDMU. It's the same thing as there's an SD card slot. It's the same thing as what we have in our GameCube now. Essentially,
okay.
It'll plug and play. You have the same thing. You just snap it into the board where the disk drive used to be. You put the games on there with the firmware, and as soon as you turn it on, it has features just like Swiss does.
Nice.
Different options, different settings.
That's really, and you said that's for the Dreamcast?
Exactly, yeah.
See, that's good, because in my experience, at least with Dreamcasts, the disk drives seem to have problems a lot.
I knew where you were going. I knew where you were going that before.
Yeah.
I've gotten really lucky with all my disk drives. Nothing, but they still make the sound. They still make you feel like you feel bad for the system, like it's hurting in some way, but it still reads the discs. But if you can streamline the loading times, and some of the games are more playable, like the never officially released but completed. Oh my God, what's the name of the game? With Gordon Freeman, what the hell?
Half-Life?
Yes, the Half-Life port for the Dreamcast. While it still has load times at the end of like every hallway, it's much faster instead of waiting for the little chunks, things like that. So I bought a clone. It never worked. I didn't know if it was my SD card. I tried so many. I just kept getting the same error light. And I told the eBay seller, like, this doesn't work. I did all these things. Well, did you try these things? I'm like, yeah, I just said I did all those things. And they're like, I'm just going to give you your money back. It was only like $40. They were nice enough about it. But there's so many eBay sellers that sell these clones, and plenty of people buy the clones and they work just fine. I'm thinking there's also plenty of people that buy clones that nobody really talks about that don't work because they get their money back and just pitch it and move on with their day. But don't buy clones. I might buy another clone for this one just to see. I might give it one more try to see if I luck out. But if after 2 times I fail, because who knows if I actually get my money back the second time.
Yeah, right. I've got a couple more mods planned in the near future. I have 2 Game Boy Colors. I'm going to reshell them both, put a backlit screen in both of them, new buttons, new glass screen cover. But those I'm going to be selling. I do have my own personal Game Boy Color that eventually I'm going to reshell and do the backlit screen on as well.
Yeah, that's a good point too. If my cases are if the shells are in really good condition, I generally don't bother updating them. But the Game Boy Color is the one that I own that I don't really like the way the color of the shell. I just got it because it was like $10 and it was completely functional and it wasn't really dirty. I put a glass lens on it because Retro 6 sent me one. Nice. So I just did that in the meantime, as like a showing how to do it, whatever kind of video. But I would like an all red shell, but I don't see that they have one. They have all red buttons. You can make your own. That's another thing that's cool about Retro 6 is you can get the template, open it up in Photoshop and choose a color.
Nice.
The problem I have with that is the color you see on screen isn't always the color that ends up in your hands physically in the real world. So so I would like to do that, but I don't like the Game Boy Color as much as like the Game Boy Pocket. I just feel like it's just the uniform body, like how flat it is on the backside. It doesn't have the booty on it. So
let's see, what color did I get on the let's see, one of them is going to be transparent blue with dark blue buttons, and the other one is going to be orange with red buttons.
And that's another thing too. They do have like a transparent red, and I see that all over the place. But I believe that Retro 6 has a transparent red, and theirs looks a lot better. But I just don't know how I feel about transparent things. I like some of them, and I don't like other ones of them. Every time I see the glacier colored, glacier purple, as it were, the GBA, I just it just looks like it looks dirty to me. Maybe it's because I've seen so many of them be dirty, and I can't see like a brand new one unboxed like clean, but I just don't like it that much. But I guess it's more opaque than it's transparent, right?
Yeah, that's the one that I had as a kid when I had a Game Boy Color. I had the transparent purple one. So that one's very nostalgic for me simply because I had it. That's the one I had when I was a kid. So
yeah, nostalgia is a funny thing, isn't it? It'll make us buy stupid pieces of junk. Not that that is, but I mean other things are. But when I was growing up, I didn't even touch. God, what year was that? Do you have any idea when the Game Boy Advance came out? I think it was 2001 or something, right?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
I didn't have one. I mean, I'm not trying to give my whole backstory of my life. I didn't have one until I was older, and I went on to live with different people, so to speak. And those people in their house, they loved Game Boy Advance. I'm like, what? Some of them had just the flat body, some of them had the SP, and they're like, hey, you're here now, and we have an extra one. Do you want it? And I was like, yeah. And of course, it was one of the ones where you're going to be in front of the in front of the light the whole time. So that was my first experience with it. And at that point, I was already 16 or something. So I didn't use it for very much. And then it's not like I went on to the DS and stuff after that. I kind of skipped it because the PSP, like I said, was where my mind was at that point. And it was the more dominant thing. But conversely, you know, nostalgia is also funny because I have no nostalgia for things like stuff we never got here. So I have a Super Famicom over there that I bought when I was in LA for E3, and they had like a fun little Japanese import video game store. God rest its soul, it is now closed. But they had one, and I don't know what it is, but I just love the way that it looks. I just felt like I've seen it, and like like it's been with me all along, sort of thing. I don't know how to explain that. Like, it's not nostalgia, but it just looks so good, like aesthetically pleasing, that I really enjoy it. My Super Nintendo is what I had forever, the boxy purpley gray thing, right? But it's ugly as sin. It is not a pretty thing, but that's what I have the nostalgia for.
Right.
So it's so strange how this stuff works. I would rather play on the Super Famicom is what I'm saying.
So kind of change gears a little bit, and I meant to ask you this earlier because I usually kind of start the podcast with this, but what, you been playing any video games lately? What have you been playing?
Again, I have a few things that thwart me from playing as much games as I'd like. ADHD makes things kind of hard. I've recently been diagnosed with that in the last year.
Gotcha.
So everybody with ADHD knows you can live with it just fine. It's not like impactful to the point that you can't. Everything's horrible, but it makes paying attention to like a game that even ones you really, really, really love. It makes you feel like there's always something going on. Oh, do I need to do this? Should I go do that? It's just always something on. So having said that, there are a few things that keep me from playing games, but that doesn't mean that I don't play games ever, because I have all these systems. What so I'm kind of I don't want to say completionist. It's so weird to have ADHD and want to complete something, because you'll forget about it for months and be like, oh snap, I still have to do that. And you'll feel like brand new, I think. But and maybe that's everybody in that regard when you come back to a game. But I beat all of Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U, and I am such a Mario Kart fanatic. But for some freaking reason, I can't beat like the last two circuits. And it's driving me bananas that other people are online playing with completely gold carts that you unlock when everything's done. At least I'm certain that's when you get it, because I don't have them yet. That drives me bananas. And Cuphead. So since I found out I have ADHD, I've been just playing games that you can do in small bites, like the circuit and Mario Kart, or a boss, or just a regular battle, I should say, and Cuphead, things like that. So I try to do things now that are more bite-sized and arcadey, because it gives me a sense of satisfaction. Yeah, I did it.
That makes sense.
Things like God of War, I love it. You know, like it looks beautiful on the PS4 Pro on my 4K TV. But when I come back to it after so long, I don't remember how to play it. I don't remember where I was. I have to like play that same thing over and over and over again to get in the feel of it. I kind of secretly wish that they would do a thing like, hey, you haven't played in X amount of time. Would you like to do a quick 90-second tutorial to get you used to the controls and watch the last few cutscenes to put you back in the mindset of where you were? It's already installed on your system. They already have tutorial mode. Like, it wouldn't be that hard to just do it for me. Every game developer out there, do it for us that have horrible memory.
No, that's a great idea, man, because I've had situations where I'll be in the middle of a really long game, and, you know, for whatever reason, I stop playing the game. I want to go back to it like a month later or something. I'm like, man, I need to finish that game. I want to go back to it. But then I'm like, I'm gonna have to relearn the game.
Right.
I don't remember what's going on, and it almost makes you not want to go back to it.
Right. It's almost like a feeling of apprehension. Like
Mm-hmm.
you don't feel the same feeling that you had when you first put the game in and you're like excited to play it. You know
Yeah.
you're gonna have to learn it,
Yeah.
but it's different when you like have already learned it and you just
Mm-hmm.
now I gotta relearn it. And that feels like
Yeah.
slightly more detrimental. I love God of War. That's the game that I'm actively working on. And my friend, the reason they got me the PS4 is because he wants me to play online, you know,
Yeah.
Destiny 2. So that's the online game of choice. I know that
Yeah.
that's also a point of contention for a lot of people is Destiny 2, but
I mean,
whatever,
it's
it's fun.
popular. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I'm not
Yeah.
one of those diehard people that love it, and I'm not
Yeah.
one of
Yeah.
those anti Destiny 2 people. It's like probably the last multiplayer
Mm-hmm.
game online that I can really get used to. I tried Fortnite, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to look to all the young people. I don't get it. I don't fricking get it.
Yeah.
So the map gets smaller as you go, but you have to
Mm-hmm.
build shit. What about the shit you just built? So it
Yeah.
just goes away and you don't have access to it anymore?
Yeah.
Seems pretty defeatist to me.
It's
Talking
just
about not
temporary.
wanting to
Yeah.
do something again, you have to keep doing it again and again. And
Yeah.
for people, am I misunderstanding it?
I
Leave a
think
comment down below to tell me if I'm misunderstanding
I
something.
think the building is more or less just meant to give you some cover, in a firefight.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be
Maybe.
temporary, to give you some cover.
I just make the matches shorter so I don't have to
Mm-hmm.
waste time building a thing. It just seems
Yeah.
like you make it so long so that people use a lot of time to do it and give them a
Mm-hmm.
sense of
Mm-hmm.
what, like they're doing something. I don't know. It feels like counterintuitive to me.
Yeah.
But that's just because I'm old as dirt now, right?
Hey, me and you both, man.
Right.
Let's see. What have I been playing? I've been playing, man. I'm usually playing like 3 or 4 games at once.
Yeah, you have
Because
to
I'm
in this
crazy.
day.
Yeah. So I'm playing through The Witcher 3. Because I again, this is one of those games that in the past I played like the first 20 hours of the game, stopped playing it.
Yeah.
Years later, I'm like, I want to go back to it, but I'm just gonna have to start over. So I just started a new game. So now I'm playing it, and this time I intend on playing all the way through. It's gonna take a while, but I intend on playing all the way through. I'm also playing, since I did the Game Boy Advance mod, I've been on a Game Boy Advance game kick.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of alternating between 3 Game Boy Advance games: Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga,
Yeah.
Banjo-Kazooie Grunty's Revenge, and Yoshi's Island on the Game Boy Advance. I'm kind of alternating between
I
those.
never played Grunty's Revenge. I've seen
good.
like gameplay, but I don't know how I
like
feel about Banjo-Kazooie. It's one of those games that
Yeah.
everybody talks
dude,
about.
it's
And then
great.
I try to play them. I'm like,
Yeah.
I think I just missed the boat on it. I don't have any
Yeah.
nostalgia for the game.
Could be.
So I think when I started playing it, I was in my 20s. I'm like, I think mechanically I missed the boat. I think by that point I already had these modern day like philosophies in games that the way that things work. It was hard for me to go back to it because it doesn't play like other games from that time period either. It's not like a Mario game or anything like that. So it has its own functions and stuff that I'm sure make it great and stand out on its own as one of a kind. So is the Game Boy Advance version must be like 2-dimensional or top isometric or something, right? Isn't it?
It's isometric, and you know what? It works. I'm actually enjoying it. The only thing that I'll say is playing it for long stretches of time does hurt your thumb because you're using a D-pad as a joystick almost, because it is a 3D isometric game. So, playing it for long stretches kind of wears on your thumb a little bit. But other than that, I like it, man. It's
right, because you have to hit like diagonals to be able to like turn at certain angles, right?
Yep.
That's an interesting. You think they'd come out with like a little cap just for that game that you could put on your D-pad and just look like an N64 cap or something?
Yeah, that would be cool.
Somebody 3D print that. Somebody make a 3D print a D-pad just to put in there to replace the thumbs. Sure, it exists. Every idea I come up with already exists.
Right, exactly.
Come up with delicious food ideas and they already exist.
Yep.
Recipes online.
But I think, I really feel like I'm going to be on a Game Boy Advance kick for probably the rest of the year, man. After doing that mod, I love the mod so much, and there's so many Game Boy Advance games that I missed out on. So tomorrow, well, this will be in the past by the time this podcast comes out, but tomorrow my Easy Flash Omega cart will be here. So
Shows
I'm
up.
excited.
Did you already set up the SD card for it?
Not yet. I need to go ahead and do that though. Get it ready ahead of time.
Yeah, my Ultimate Game Gear has a flash card that I got an EverDrive for it. So
nice.
But that one not only plays Game Gear games, but out of the box it also does Sega Master System games because the hardware of a Game Gear is essentially the same mechanics as a Sega Master System. So it plays both of those things out of the box. So that should be
That's
pretty
awesome.
fun. Yeah.
Because in case you can't tell from behind me, I
Yeah,
love
you
the
have a
Sega
lot.
Master System. Yeah, I've got
I
one.
got lucky. I knew nothing really about the Sega Master
Mhm.
System, and a person that I worked with at oh, hey, at where you live, do you guys have a restaurant called Rib Crib?
No, we
All
don't, but it
right. Well,
sounds
I've
good.
only ever come across two in my life, and one
Yeah,
of them I worked at. But anyway,
yeah.
I worked with her there, and she was like in her 40s or something.
Mhm,
But she said, "Hey, I live in this house, and in the basement
mhm,
there's a box with like some Sega thing in it, and some
mhm.
Sega games, and an Atari. Do you want it?" She's like, "You're the only one I know who plays games." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll come
Hell
take it."
yeah.
She's like, "I don't know if it works or anything." I was like,
Mhm.
"Well, how much are you charging?" She's like, "I don't give a shit. Come get it out of my house." I was like, "Oh, okay."
Nice.
So yeah, it had a whole bunch of games in it, and the
Mhm.
Sega Master System works just fine, and the
Nice.
Atari works, but it looks abysmal because the
Mhm.
coax on a 4K
Yeah.
TV or a HD TV is
Yeah,
trash.
yeah.
So that was back in the day. I Since then they make little adapters for the Atari that
Mhm.
are coax that you twist onto a thing and lets you plug it into like at least the video
Mm.
port on the
Yeah,
standard RCA jack. So I
yeah.
got one of those, but who let's all be honest, nobody's actually playing the Atari anymore. You might love it, you might be nostalgic for it, it might be great, you might know how to play every game in the
Mhm,
world on it that's worth its salt, but
mhm.
you're not playing it on the original Atari.
Dude,
There's no way. I almost said the F
dude.
word, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You can cuss all you want. I don't care. Yeah, these podcasts are uncensored. Dude, I have tried so many times with the Atari, and it just doesn't click with me. It's just too simplistic. And I don't
Yeah.
mind simplistic games, but it's just like a lot of the games I've played on the Atari, just they're not even that fun to me. I mean, some of them are fun, like Pac-Man, of course, is a classic,
Hmm.
but I don't know, man.
I
The
don't know if
Atari just
Pac-Man
doesn't
on
resonate with me.
Atari's classic enough to still want to hook up an Atari and
No,
play it though.
no, because you can
It
play
might be a
Pac-Man
decent
on your
game, but exactly. But at the same time, I don't know what the hell Atari VCS is even promoting. Like, we're not buying your Atari VCS because of the
yeah,
Atari games,
yeah,
but I'm sure they know that that's why it's basically a mini PC. I will
yeah.
say though, I'm on a constant endeavor to
Hmm.
collect every video game system that has come out in the US at
Hmm.
least. I have a Super Famicom because it looks delightful, like I
Hmm.
said, but so I have the Atari
Hmm.
2600. I do not play it, but I collect
Hmm.
as many systems as I can and all
Yeah,
the
yeah.
handhelds I can.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Have you
I'm sure you
got
still have more than me.
have you gotten a hold of a Neo Geo Pocket yet?
No, but well, okay. Yes, I have come across plenty. That
Hmm.
doesn't mean that they are the price that I want to buy them for.
Yeah.
I got a Game Boy Micro. You know how much those go for nowadays?
Like 120 or more.
Yeah. I found somebody on Craigslist that just couldn't get rid of theirs. And he was like, he
Hmm.
just kept dropping the price down. And I got it for $10. I just had to drive 45 minutes to get it.
Damn.
But those are some hard shells to find, by the way. I
Yeah,
was
they
on
are.
Retro Six's website and they have a Game Boy Micro thing.
Hmm.
I was like, oh, sweet, they have shells. And I clicked it
Hmm.
and they don't have shells. They have some other things, but they don't have
Yeah.
shells. And yeah, so I might be on a Game Boy Micro kick
Yeah.
trying to find all the original shells because they had like
Good luck.
7 or 12 different ones or
Yeah.
something.
Quite a few.
Yeah.
Man, I've only found a Game Boy Micro once. I got lucky. This guy he sold me just a giant box full of consoles for 120 bucks. But the catch is every console in the box had something wrong with it, various
Yeah.
problems. And I was like, you know what? That's like, because dude, it was like 30 or 40 consoles and handhelds and stuff. I was like, you know what? For 120 bucks, if I can just fix a few of these, it'll be worth it. And he was like, oh, there's
Yeah.
also a Game Boy Micro in there, and the Game Boy Micro does work. So I got it, and and I ended up selling the Game Boy Micro to make my
Hmm.
money back. I kind of wish I had been able to keep it, but I had to make my money back pretty quickly on that little lot. So unfortunately, I ended up selling the Game Boy Micro, and I'll probably never run into another one because they're just really hard to find.
Yeah. And I don't know if you've talked about this before on any of your videos or podcasts, as it were, but so how did you get started doing lots and selling stuff, and how does one start that?
Um, I think it just started with me getting lucky and coming across a game lot for the first time. I don't even remember what my first game lot was because I've up to by now I've bought so many of them
Hmm.
because I tried to do it the smart way where, I'll buy the game lot, I'll keep the games I want, sell the games that I don't want or the duplicates, make my money back, then make some profit, and in that profit I can either put it back in my game collection, or I can set that profit aside to buy another game lot with. So it's
Mhm.
kind of like a domino effect, or it just builds on itself. But yeah, I think one day I just got lucky and I found somebody selling a lot of games, and I bought it, and from then on I was like, this is the way to do it right here. If you
Yeah.
can get lucky enough to find one at a good price, that's the catch, man. Some people will
Yeah.
sell game lots, but the price just isn't worth it. The price has to be low enough to where I can easily make my money back on the games that I don't want to keep. At bare minimum, make my money back, break even. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you know what's in the box before you buy it? How do you know that
Oh
what you
yeah.
have is enough to? Oh, okay. So you don't.
Oh yeah, yeah. I will not buy a game lot unless I know every single item that's going to be in that lot. And I'm to the point now to where I have enough knowledge to where I can look at a game lot, see the games, look at the price, and I can pretty much know just by looking at it if it's a good deal or not.
Yeah.
I've gotten to the point to where I know what most games are worth. So having that knowledge definitely helps, because sometimes you'll be in a situation where you have to make a decision quick. You don't really have time to research the lot to see if it's worth it or not.
Yeah. I feel like we all kind of do it, right? Like when you take games back to GameStop, you're doing it in hopes to have money to get other games, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
maybe upgrade your game from the 360
Mhm,
version to the the Xbox One re-release
mhm.
of a game or something.
Yeah.
Uh, for instance, there's a local place that I go to. I got my PSP Go from there, and I traded in. I got the 4K versions of the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight
Mhm,
trilogy, but I had the
mhm,
Blu-ray versions originally, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to take these in there, and that's
mhm.
going to be a big chunk of money towards the
Yeah,
PSP Go." And the guy basically was like, "Dude, you sure you want to sell this to us? Because these are
yeah,
probably worth 30 for the collection."
yeah,
And it was like a weird box set thing. He's like, "We're going to give you like 5." I
yeah,
was like,
right.
"Well, I need the store credit, bro." So he's like,
Yeah,
"Okay, well, I'll give you like 11 in store credit." I just wanted the PSP so bad, the PSP Go so badly before
yeah.
I lost it again. I used to have one and I sold it like a
Mhm,
buffoon. Uh, but yeah, so I was smarter when
mhm,
when I finally found the Silent
mhm,
Hill PS1 copy,
mhm,
that I searched and I searched and I searched, and I finally found somebody that was willing to sell me one for $80 complete
mhm.
in box, that was not the greatest hits release.
Yeah,
And I then turned around and sold my disc only copy
yeah,
to somebody for like $35-$40.
yeah.
I was like, that was much smarter than taking this into the game store, getting some cash,
Oh
and then
yeah,
putting it towards
oh
the
yeah,
$80 game. So
oh yeah.
I only spent effectively $40 on this game. I don't have the time to do massive lots though. Like
Dude,
I see people on Facebook groups, oh yeah, I
yeah,
bought this big lot, and all these local groups. And I'm like, how do you have time to do that? When do you do that? How do you undercut people? How do you
yeah.
swoop in there like a fucking
Dude,
vulture? Like, it's insane.
dude, that's the one downside to buying game lots, is it is so much work, dude. It is so much work. Just, when you get the lot, you got to check everything, you got to
Yeah.
price everything up, you got to sometimes, I have a disc resurfacer, so a lot of games I end up having to resurface, and that takes up a lot of time. And
Yeah,
then
but that's useful.
I listing them on eBay or selling them on Instagram, that takes a lot of time, and then packing them and
Yeah.
shipping them. It's a lot of work, man.
I have a couple more questions then. Question one,
Hmm.
do you resurface the games that don't work, or you just resurface them no matter what so they look as good as possible?
So we have rules, because me and my wife kind of work together on this
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So we have rules that we go by. So basically, if a game is over a certain amount, if it's worth over a certain amount of money, we'll
Mm-hmm.
always resurface it unless it looks pristine, right? Unless it's like an
Right.
8 out
Yeah.
of 10. If it's like an 8 out of 10 on disc quality, then we won't resurface it. But if it's over a certain amount of money and the disc is below our quality threshold, then we're going to go ahead and resurface it. Um, when somebody buys a game from us, if the game, I think our threshold is $10. If they buy a game that's worth $10 or more,
Mm-hmm.
and the disc looks rough, a little rough. If it looks really rough, we'll go ahead and resurface it. But if it only looks a little scratched up, we'll test it, make sure it works. If it works, we'll go ahead and ship it. If not, we'll resurface it, test it again, see if it
Mm-hmm.
works. But most of the time, games that are worth, I think games that are worth 20 or more dollars, we'll go ahead and resurface them before we list them on eBay, or before we, list them on
Right.
Instagram or whatever. That way they're resurfaced ahead of time. But
Mm-hmm.
we don't waste our time resurfacing games that are like under $10.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unless people request it, or, because the materials for the resurfacing machine are pretty expensive.
Yeah. I was gonna say that. So that means you have like one of those like white box machine things, or you're just talking
Yep.
about? Okay.
Yep.
I didn't think you had one of those Dr. Skip, the
No,
little
no.
hand crank ones.
Yeah, no.
The other question was, and I'm assuming you've kind of already answered the question, is do you do it for like monetary sake, or do you do it for the benefit of your collection? Like, what is the reason that you do it now?
So initially, for most of the time I've been collecting, it was so that I could build up the collection more, right?
Uh-huh.
That was the main reason. Sell the games I don't need, take that money, put it back into the collection, or set it aside for game lots. But now is a little bit different because my wife is unemployed.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously with everything going on in the world, it's really hard to find a job right now. So right now, selling games is another form of income for us to help us
Mm-hmm.
pay our bills and live comfortably.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Well, yeah. So as long as if she has the time to do it, it seems like it's a
oh yeah,
useful endeavor to
yeah,
to
yeah,
be in.
yeah.
Um, without plugging my own
Mhm,
side junk, my girlfriend and I like co-own a little side business, so
mhm.
we can only do that in our spare time. So on our
Yeah.
website we have a thing saying like your orders will go out within 3 business days, and our
Mhm.
business days are Monday through Friday, and they
Yeah,
are
yeah,
from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. so
yeah.
that people understand we're just regular people, and we
Right,
can't get them
right.
out that fast. So we kind of
Yeah.
had to establish the rules because we do so much other stuff too at the
Mhm,
same time. So it's good that at least that your wife has the time,
mhm.
because otherwise that'll drive you bananas if you try to
Oh,
squeeze it
dude.
in when you don't have time to squeeze it in.
Dude, and I was, man, in the past, whenever I was selling stuff to help build my own collection up, man, I was going crazy at how much work I was putting into it, man. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, it was just unreal the amount of work I was putting into it. It's not something I recommend to people unless you really
yeah,
want to build your collection quick. Because if you do it right, you can build a collection pretty quick without spending much of your own money. But you got to be smart about it. You got to do it right.
yeah,
You got to have a little bit of luck to find the game lots. But they're out there. They're out there. I mean, I've shown it time and time again on my channel and my
yeah.
pickups videos that the game lots are out there. You just got to look for them.
So in the future, the whole world will be back to normal years from now. Let's just jump ahead 5 years, and presumably she'll have a job and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So at what point do you stop? Like if you're doing it for your collection, surely at some point you've met what you're like
Mm-hmm.
looking for on your shelves, right? Like you got every game
Mm-hmm.
you could possibly want, right? At some point. Like
Yeah, I mean,
when
eventually.
do you personally stop doing? Is there still games you're on the lookout for that you're just not finding in lots or something?
Yeah, I mean, there's other sets that I want to complete. Like I want a full Wii U set. I want a
Yeah,
complete
that's what I'm
Nintendo
doing.
64 cart set. I want to finish the Sega Master System set. So I've still got a lot of collecting goals, and
Hmm.
my GameCube collection. Even though I have every game, I am missing the manuals for a lot of games. So I really want
Yeah,
to.
that one's
I want to.
tricky.
Yeah, that's kind of my second stage with the GameCube collection is to get the manual for every game. There's one game in particular that I have a feeling I'm gonna have an extremely hard time getting the manual for. Actually, some of the really rare games that I don't have manuals for, I'm just gonna end up having to buy a complete copy of the game on eBay,
Isn't that the fucking worst?
keep the manual, and then sell.
Sell the
You know what I
rest.
mean? Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't see any other way around it.
My recent pickup video, I had that problem. I didn't
Hmm.
realize it until after I bought my Wii U copy of Silent Hill Shattered
Hmm.
Memories. Like right after I hit order, I didn't read the description thoroughly, and it
Hmm.
was my own fault. And they said like had to reprint the cover,
Hmm.
and so I was going to like look to see if they shipped it, and
Hmm.
I was like, I did a double take. It's like, wait, what? It doesn't have the original cover?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, because every other one I found is complete. Nobody's
Yep.
selling just the cover.
Yep.
Nobody's selling just the box. You have to
Yep.
buy the box with the cover and the manual. Don't need all that. All I need is the damn cover.
Hmm.
Ugh. So I'm gonna have to, yeah, probably just. And
Yeah.
it's a kind of a hard game to find in the first
Yeah.
place. And
Yep.
when you do find it, it's like $70 to $90,
Hmm.
somewhere in that realm. And I found it for $45 from Canada. And
Yeah.
that's why they were okay with $45.
Yeah, man, collecting is tough. And then, there's another kind of goal of mine is like so with like consoles that add cardboard boxes like the NES, Super
Yeah.
Nintendo, Nintendo 64. Um there are some games that I want to get boxed for those consoles, games that meant a lot to me or games that I had when I was younger. are kind of the games that I want to get boxed for those consoles. So like as an example, for the NES, I have Ninja Gaiden complete in box, Super Mario Bros. 2 and 3 complete in box. I don't have the first one yet. So I've got one of the Contra games complete in box on the NES. So there's like certain games for those types of consoles that I do want to get complete in box. But other than that, I'm happy with just getting the carts, like my NES collection over here. I'm happy with just, you know, having the cartridges for most games.
Yeah. What do you think we did with all those cardboard boxes as kids? You think we just took the game out, threw the shit away, and put the game in the thing and just played it forever long?
100%, man. And I wish that I hadn't have.
I was thinking about this recently, like the people that like to collect the cardboard box games like yourself. I don't know that I will ever bother that much, but we kind of have to thank 90s ultra nerds for still having those cardboard game boxes, because not only was gaming not cool at all, really, for but for adults to be doing it instead of like working their 9-to-5 job, or you had to do that shit in private, like secretly. They had to be some ultra nerds. Now all those people are like 50 plus years old. Like we should like be finding them and shaking their hands for not destroying the stuff that they had their hands on, and then having the mental fortitude of and the strength of being able to sell it off later on, maybe when they got married or something, you know, and their wives were like, what is this child crap? So I think we have really those people to thank. I don't think it's really all that often that people are like, oh, it's been in our attic for 20 years. I don't think it happens too often that it's that scenario. More so it's probably adults that took care of it, and maybe to a lesser extent like kids that just had good values or something.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, man. One of my dreams, dude, is to come across a box of boxed games on like NES or Super Nintendo or Nintendo 64. That's one of my dreams as a collector, is to just find somebody that has just a box of pristine boxed games that they had when they were younger, just like in an attic or in a garage. And then they're like $50 for the whole box. That's like a dream of mine. And one day I think it's going to happen, man. One day I can dream.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe everybody will stop giving a crap about retro video. I mean, it's bound to happen. The age range is going to push. And one of two things will happen. A, nobody's going to care about them, and the price just flattens out. Or B, they become historical items that if you have them, you don't let go of them, and it'll become a ghost town. You won't be able to find that. I don't know that there'll be any middle ground when somebody's like, well, this used to be cool. And sure, I spent a lot of money on it in 2020, but now I have no practical use for it, and I'll just sell it off for super cheap. I feel like it's only going to be everybody keeps it and we don't have it, or the price will be completely and you'll be able to, you know, like find them at garage sales. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Dude, it's so
hard to predict.
Yeah, the retro game market is intense, man. It is intense right now. It's really hard to predict. I mean, there's more people are getting into retro games right now than I've ever seen. It's crazy.
I think that we have also modern day developers to blame. Hey guys, stop making pixel games. Stop making flat two-dimensional games. Utilize the hardware. I don't want to spend $500 on a device and play a two-dimensional game.
See, I can't agree with you there, man, because I love them.
I'm not saying that they shouldn't exist. I'm saying save it for the hardware that makes sense. Mobile games, the Switch. Nobody wants to own. Okay, I don't want to speak for everybody. I don't want to own an Xbox Series X or a PlayStation 5 and play two-dimensional games and spend $20 on them. I feel like the fact that those games keep getting made gives a sense of nostalgia to people. Like, oh, this reminds me of, Super Mario World. I'm going to go find and buy that and take that from somebody who's trying to collect. But maybe are also to blame. I don't know. Collectors also bogart stuff too.
It's interesting. The retro market is interesting, man. And there's a lot of like one place I kind of stay away from are like the Facebook groups around retro gaming and retro markets, because dude, I see like so much negativity and bullshit on there. Like, I don't know, man. I don't care for the Facebook groups.
Yeah, the only I only joined one originally because I thought that might be an easier way to find stuff that it was hard to find, and surely collectors are selling off those harder to find things. No, but at least the one that I joined, they have very strict rules. You can only talk about video games, and for the longest time, you could only talk about games you were selling or games you were looking for, and that is it. But now they at least let you make posts about gaming. as well, but they won't let you mention anything negative. It can't be
Mm-hmm.
political. It can't be derogatory, you know, things like that.
Well, that's
And
good. Yeah.
so there's other ones I'm sure that are not regulated
Yeah.
in our
Yeah.
area,
Oh
but I
yeah.
just
Yeah.
happened to choose one that was, I
Yeah.
thought, the only one.
Yeah.
Kansas City is a weird place because there's retro collectors like in every little nook and cranny, but they don't exactly wear it on their sleeves, so to
Right.
speak. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's still like a taboo faux pas thing. I'm not from Kansas City. I just live here
Yeah.
now. They'll be at conventions in spades,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not like, you know, I don't know. They're just
Mm-hmm.
not pronouncedly
Mm-hmm.
collecting. Maybe most of them, I don't know. Maybe they're just doing it for the money. I certainly don't know that at the end of the day what they're doing with their
Yeah.
games, but
There's a lot of collectors out there, man, that they view other collectors as competition for whatever reason.
yeah.
And so a lot of them will act like they're not collectors. Like, man, there's this guy, I'm not going to say his name, but there's this guy around here, kind of local in my area, that buys and sells retro games, and he also collects. And I do not like this guy at all, man. He's very sleazy. He's he's almost a scam artist. Like, just to give you an example, right? A buddy of mine had a like a broken NES he was selling, and he's a collector. He knows all about this stuff, and he met that guy to sell it to him, and that guy was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm buying this for my kid. If you have any more of this old Nintendo stuff, I'd love to buy it from you for my kid." And this dude has a freaking booth at a flea market where he resells retro games. So he's just
Yeah.
scummy, man. And there's a lot of people out there like that.
Right. Well, when you first said scummy, my mind went right to Jay of Game Chasers. But I was like, no, but he does it for himself. He does. I mean, he knows what he can get for this stuff for sure.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he's not going every time he comes across something he already has. He doesn't go, oh, I'm gonna buy this up.
Yeah,
Generally, doesn't go, I'm gonna buy this up and
yeah,
turn around and shell it. Unless, of course, they do it when they're not recording. That
yeah,
to each their own. But
yeah.
yeah, obviously, if they pretend like, oh, I'm just an old grandpa. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
getting stuff for my young
Mm-hmm.
offspring
Yeah.
descendants. I don't know. I don't have kids.
Yeah. See,
But
there's a difference between, like, when you're out and about buying stuff, there's a difference between not, you know, trying to figure out how the best way to word this. There's a difference between just downright lying and
yeah,
being
the
like, I'm
lie.
buying this for my kid, and not, um, what's the word I'm looking for, man? Not like specifically saying why you're buying it or why
You don't
you're
have to tell people why you're buying
right,
something. That
right.
doesn't make any sense. When you offer up details, that's when it seems shady
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. Like when I'm at a flea market, I mean, when I'm at a flea market, usually what I'll tell people is I'm a collector. I collect video games and I'm interested in this, which is the
Mhm.
truth. I am. And you know, a lot of times I can get good deals, because you know, a lot of people are open to negotiations, so you can usually talk people down on prices.
Yeah. Do you think that people intentionally just always start higher, like, and they know what they have, or do you think that they're just genuinely just pulling shit out of the blue and
I think it's a
hoping it's
little,
okay?
I think it's a little bit of both, honestly.
Yeah. Um, After watching all the Game Chasers, I never watched them. I watched them in 2020. I
Mhm.
was like, you know what? They put up season one as like a playlist, so I watched all of them. Like, oh, this is fun, and I just
Oh yeah,
watched all of them.
yeah.
And now I won't lowball people. I
Mhm.
won't do what Jay does, but I'll still ask people like what I'm willing to pay for generally,
Yeah,
instead of like just going like $5 down what they're
yeah.
asking for. I've just started like the worst thing they could say is no,
Mhm.
and I'm 34 at this point. If they say no, I'm not butthurt because I'm guessing the
Yeah,
answer is
yeah,
going to be no, or at
yeah,
least they're going to give me a counter offer.
yeah,
Maybe it's something I'm willing to pay.
yeah,
If it's not, no harm, no foul. I'm not any worse off than I was because I
yeah,
still don't have the thing. It's not like I had it and lost it. So,
yeah.
but it
I
worked
got,
with the Silent Hill game. So,
yeah, that's true. And hey, as far as Jay goes, man, I gotta give him some respect because he definitely sticks to his low balling strategy. And as an example, when I went to Texas to be on the Game Chasers movie for a couple of days,
mhm.
I brought my gaming inventory with me in case Billy or Jay wanted to buy some games or anybody else on the set. And Jay comes out there and he starts digging through my games. He's like, "How much you want for all of it?" And I'm like, "Oh boy, here we go." And he makes me like and he makes me a pretty low offer for everything. And I'm like, "No, Jay, no, that's not even what I paid for it. No."
Yeah.
So I mean,
Oh,
and he's not doing it. He's not doing it to like be rude or to try to rip you off or anything. He's doing it because he'll tell you straight up he's a cheap son of a bitch. He'll tell you
Yeah.
straight up that he does not want to pay much for retro games. So he always starts low. So hey,
Yeah.
and it works.
I always have like a budget in my head. Like when I go to, the problem is if you go to like Comic Cons and stuff like that, there's always like one booth selling games, and that booth, since they know they have zilch competition, will just charge whatever they want,
It's
as long as
ridiculous.
it's within like, you know, a reasonable thing that people go, man, it's more expensive than normal, but I can't find it anywhere. They just they just know they got you.
Yeah.
But I don't really buy from those people. But
Yeah.
that's why, you know, again, not try to plug myself. I want to have like a local game convention, like Game Expo,
Oh yeah.
that I can put on that would
Yeah.
hopefully remedy that bullshit, because
Yeah.
we don't have that around here per se, and I
Yeah.
want to make that happen so that people that sell locally have a fair chance to everybody be on the same level playing field.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I definitely don't do and don't feel comfortable do is overpricing the stuff that I sell. I do not feel comfortable with that. I'll price it appropriately based on rarity and based on condition, but I also price it competitively. And usually how I price things is I'll try to find the cheapest, most comparable listing on eBay that I can find that's sold recently, right? That's very comparable in condition to mine and what comes with it. I'll try to find the cheapest listing I can find, and then I'll even try to beat that price. And usually by doing that, I give people a pretty good deal on stuff. Now, if I sell stuff on Instagram, I price even cheaper than that when I sell on Instagram, because what's the point in me selling you a game on Instagram if I'm not going to beat the best eBay price you can find? You know what I mean?
Yeah. How are you going to move it quickly and stay afloat above other people that are better known for like selling games on there and stuff? So that's just has to be really tough to move stuff unless you price it competitively.
Sometimes it is. Yeah. Sometimes
what's one game that you come across the most that you just can't give away?
it's usually like sports games, to be honest.
All right, what's one non-sports game, non-dance game, non-racing game?
Hold on, I could probably tell you right now. Let me see
let
me look and see what the oldest listed game I have for sale is on
because
eBay.
I used to work at like one of those buy sell trade places that had movies and music and games, and we would always have like a butt ton of like one movie and butt ton of one game, and our bosses would be like, just keep buying it in, somebody will buy it. And there's just some things you just can't get rid of.
So the oldest game that I have listed right now that hasn't sold is NCAA basketball on the Super Nintendo, and then NFL 2K3 on the GameCube, and then Roll Cage on the PS1.
Roll Cage, that's interesting.
For some reason, MDK on the PS1.
Yeah, because I remember playing MDK, and it was a very like dark colored game, right? It's just like, it's really like black. I didn't really like it that much, but
Rage is one that's not selling. And I think a lot of some of these games that don't sell, it's just because there's so many copies of it out there and so many people already have it.
You talking about Rage for the 360?
Yep, Rage for the 360. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work, and it doesn't always work out too well. But once you really kind of get established and learn what you're doing and do it right, you can make a little bit of money for yourself, but also what I try to tell people is, try to be ethical about it. Don't overprice a game just because you want to make a shitload of money off of it. First of all, you may not sell it. You could get lucky and sell it to somebody that don't care about price because they have all the money in the world and they just click buy because they want the game. You might get lucky, but I mean, there's no point in doing that. Like, do you want to just sit on it? You could be sitting on that game for a year because you're a little greedy and you price it too much. So I always tell people to price competitively and try to beat the best price you can find on eBay. Because I mean, most people that go on eBay looking for a game, they're going to try to find the cheapest price they can for the level of quality that they want. You know what I mean?
Yeah. One of the guys that I just came in contact with to help get this expo off the ground is he works for like a video game place during the day, but he said that his boss gets just like pallets of games and movies and stuff, and he's like,
damn,
he's like, there's a lot of stuff that won't fit in there, and my boss just sells it to me like for like a chunk of money, and I'll buy this like the whatever's left over for like $100 and turn around and sell hundreds of games for $2, $3, $4, $5 a piece and make $2, $3, $4, $500. He's like, I don't really care what I'm selling them for. I just need to make money fast. He's like, but I'm not I'm just selling them as is, and that's the difference. He's like, if somebody gets a gem, so be it. I'm not going to waste my time looking it up. So he's making hand over fist. He's putting in 100 and making up to 500 off these pallets. I don't know how frequent the stuff comes to him though, for sure, but.
I'd like to get some pallets of stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know where the hell he's getting them from. My girlfriend was watching like TikTok the other day, and some chick bought, I don't know if it was an Amazon box or something, but she spent like $130 in it. Maybe it was like a Target box, like Target like returns or something, but in it was a Nintendo Switch that had just been returned, and it said like child didn't want or something, like the kid it was just returned because the kid didn't like the color or some shit like that. So she got a $299 Switch for like $120, and that wasn't even everything that was in there. It was just the one thing that she was blown away. She literally started crying on the video. So that's luck. I just don't have the money or the time to buy those things and hope that I get lucky. I just don't.
One thing I've always wanted to do, man, and one day I might actually do it, is to buy storage units that people have lost that go up for auction.
A gamble too, right?
It is a gamble. It really is.
But surely, like amongst all the clothes and the rusty bicycles, you could
maybe
just pay somebody to sort through it for you and just give you a list of the breakdown, and you can price it out and sell it yourself or something.
Yeah, I mean, you never know what you might find, or you might run across somebody's box of used sex toys or something, you know?
Yeah. What is the smell in here?
Oh man. Yeah, you never know. Oh, dude, I don't know if I told you this the other day. I don't think I did tell you about this, but I wanted to practice refurbishing a GameCube. So I wanted to practice taking a GameCube all the way apart, every little part of it, even the door assembly and everything, clean it all up, clean the PCB and everything. So I had this GameCube in my inventory, this platinum GameCube that was kind of dirty on the outside. And I was like, okay, I'll refurbish that one. Oh my God, dude. Oh my God. So I pull the 4 screws out of the bottom of it, flip it over. I pull the top half of the shell off of this GameCube. Oh, it's making me sick just thinking about it, dude. Oh my God, it was the nastiest thing.
Okay.
The whole fucking GameCube, every square inch of the inside of that GameCube was covered in dead cockroaches.
I was gonna say, how many cockroaches were in it?
Oh my God, dude.
I knew exactly where you were going as soon as you said that.
Dude,
when I worked at that buy sell trade place, we couldn't buy in stuff that was obviously gross. Sure, we cleaned the stuff up and everything that was if it was dusty and like scratched or whatever, but so you have to be super nice, and you don't want to bring attention to the fact that somebody might live in a house that has roaches or mouse poop or something. So I was going through this guy's stuff, and it was pretty beaten up, but I was just looking at all the stuff, checking the game setting, and aside making a we'll buy it pile and a we're not going to buy it pile. I'm like, that one's good, and that one's a little too scratched, or we have too many of this, or that one looks good. And I opened one up, and it was just like there had been roaches like on it, and they closed it to like kill them or something, and had plumb forgotten about it. And it was just like a roach landfill or something. And I, without missing a beat, I just said, can't take that one. And I just kept going. I just was trying to be as professional as possible and not draw attention to the fact that they might have been. But we also were near like a side of town where people would steal shit and bring it over and like try to sell it.
Yeah.
And so it could have been from somebody else's house for all I know, and he might not have known that there were roaches in it. But that one's scary too, because what if you buy something used that looks good on the outside, and then you get it home and there's filth inside as well. And you don't want to bring that in your house. Maybe there's an egg sack in there or something.
And like, dude, like, I mean, from the outside it looked a little dirty, you know, but oh my God, dude, there was dead cockroach in every crevice of the inside of this GameCube. And I almost threw up, man. I put the shell back on it. I flipped it over. I put the screws back in it. And for the first time in my life, I threw a GameCube away.
Chuck it, yeah.
There was no salvaging that GameCube. There was
how did they get in and not get out? I was
going to clean it. Yeah, dude. Like, oh my God. And it wasn't my GameCube. It came in. I don't even know where I got it. I got it in a lot at some point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And oh man, God, that's a nightmare.
So just I'm guessing then that you'll turn around and resell like consoles and stuff too. That whatever's in the lot that you get.
Yeah, as long as it's not something I want to keep, because
Is
sometimes
that what the two Game Boy Colors are then? That are you refurbishing them with the
Yep.
intent to sell?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
like they were beyond looking nice sort of thing, and you just know if you refurbish them that they're more likely to sell.
I mean, they don't look terrible. They're scuffed up on the outside and kind of scratched up, and the screen cover is really scratched up. So I mean, they don't look terrible. I've seen a trend on eBay where some of these modded handhelds are selling like crazy.
That's what I was wondering.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean? So
because you can buy like third-party shells from eBay that are inexpensive, that are good enough for a common person that just wants the
yeah,
nostalgia factor, and they don't
yeah.
want all the bells and whistles like maybe what you and I might care about. But you could also do mods, you know, and sell them for a lot more. You buy these inexpensive, barely working Game Boys, and you get them for $5 a pop because they're a dime a dozen effectively, and you can spruce them up pretty nicely. I'm sure you can make better money that way. But that's also really time consuming too.
It is. It's going to take me a while to do them because I'm, I've only done one so far with the Game Boy.
They're really easy to take apart and put back together though. That's definitely in your favor there.
Yeah.
That's like a pit crew sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. Do you know? The funny playing IPS backlit screens for the Game Boy Color, does it require soldering for brightness control? I'm not sure.
For brightness control, they all do. I think the funny playing is just an actual. I don't want to say it's Chinese in nature, but it's not. It's not just a random Chinese knockoff. It's like actually a Chinese name brand.
Gotcha.
So I've reviewed some funny playing products before, but that's not to say that funny playing doesn't source stuff from. So I just feel like each and every one of their products is different. Some of them that they manufacture themselves. Some of them I'm sure they take the copyright for, they clone stuff. And some of the stuff I'm sure they just get from companies that are also Chinese and they sell it on their site. So I certainly don't know. I think that one of the things I got was funny playing, but it wasn't a screen. So I've seen reviews on it, and some of their screens are a little bit, I don't want to say dimmer. They're just, maybe the contrast isn't as high.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think that they're bad screen quality, but they're not creme de la creme. You're not going to go, if you're comparing a $50 funny playing IPS screen to an $80 one, you're getting a $50 screen. You just are, but it's still better than, and I doubt very few people want OEM Nintendo screens in this day and age.
Yeah, right.
I doubt anybody wants the nostalgia of leaning underneath the star burning in the sky while they're having to play outside. Dude. In broad daylight, nobody honestly wants that anymore. And the mixed battery life lasts longer too, because the power draw is so much lower than the other stuff. Even with the backlight, it's still just modern day technology. It's just easier on the batteries.
Yeah.
So
I was very happy about the battery mod because it's so
it is sweet as hell.
Pops in, you know what I mean?
Did you does yours have the battery back where you can plug it in via USB, or did you okay, because worst case scenario, even if you don't have that, of course you could Dremel one yourself, but even if you don't have that, you can still just pop the battery cover off and plug it in, and then pop it back on. It's still the same amount of work you'd have to do if you're swapping out batteries, except you just take the back off, plug it in, charge it, then pop the back on. But luckily Retro 6 makes the shell that has the USB slot on it, and it's just delightful. It's kind of funny looking coming out the bottom. I think we're so used to charge cords coming out the top, but that's only if you're playing and charging at the same time, I suppose. Yeah.
I also ordered the speaker mod. It's probably going to take a while to get here because I had to order it directly from Retro 6 because they were sold out on Handheld Legend. But that one, I think that one's going to be a little trickier to do because it requires a little bit more soldering than it looks like the screen did.
Yeah. I'm getting better at the soldering. I mean, I think you and I could both say that we're novices at this point.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely novice.
I'm not so uncomfortable in myself that I can't record myself doing it, that when I'm doing it, I'm kind of practicing. And so far, I've only had the one botched job of the Sega Game Gear, and it wasn't even over soldering, honestly. So I think I cut a trace somewhere, and I don't have a multimeter to tell me where I cut a trace. And even if I did have a multimeter, I don't really, or a multimeter if you're from that part of the country, but I don't know what I'm doing. No, I'm not an engineer. Nobody's trained me to do it. And I just don't understand what I'm doing with that. But if I follow guides to a T on how to do the mod right in the first place, I don't have to worry about a multimeter. It's kind of done all the work for me. So I think I cut a trace. I I got some money back on something that I ordered that turned out to be not as described. So I was like, I'm going to take that money because that's free money now and put it towards just getting for parts Game Gear. So I hope that the motherboard on this Game Gear just needs new capacitors.
Right. Probably does. So. Yeah. And see, I'm in a unique position because I do want to learn all the technical stuff. I do want to learn how electronics work. I do want to learn how circuit boards work. I want to learn how to use multimeters. I do want to learn all that stuff. And I'm in a unique position because my dad has been repairing electronics, mainly TVs, for like 30 years. So he knows he worked for Sears. So he knows electronics like the back of his hand. So, you know, I'm trying to learn it without going to him, but if I have to, I can go over to my dad and be like, teach me, sensei. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my dad, I don't know, that again, that's unrelated to this, is an engineer. And so he knows all that kind of stuff. That's where I get the pronunciation of multimeter, because he said multimeter. But I see people saying it either way in videos, right? I don't know what's right. But so I just, he did a whole college thing and all that stuff. So I'm never going to be that deep in it. I'm never going to pay for a proper education. So at least you have a proper education in your backyard, so to speak. My education is YouTube. My education is guess and check. My education is knowing that I can generally undo stuff. I know I can fix it. I know how to fix a cut trace if I accidentally cut a trace. I just couldn't find where the trace was. So that was my problem. And I just, because I know that I'd accidentally scratched something with the pointy tip of the soldering iron, and I couldn't tell where I did it. And I'm so certain I cut the trace. But
so how do you fix that?
So if you cut a trace, a trace is obviously how the shit goes from one side to the other.
Right.
And if you cut across it, well, now you have almost like, you have a chunk of land and you have a river that goes through it, and you have to somehow bridge over it. So you can literally just use a piece of wire and like solder it to one end and then solder it to another. I only learned that from watching somebody repair some Super Nintendo cartridge on a multi-part video on YouTube, and he just couldn't figure it out, and he was trying, and he finally figured out that somebody had cut a trace, and it was the smallest little point on there, the trace between one of the contacts that go into the actual Super Nintendo and somewhere in the ROM of the Super Nintendo cartridge. And so he found it. He thoroughly cut the trace the rest of the way, so there was no chance that, I don't know what could actually come from that, but he did that. He completely finished, made the gap wider, and then he just used a wire and soldered it to both the ends, and it finished the connection for it. So if somebody wants my Sega Game Gear motherboard, it is in beautiful, pristine condition. That Game Gear had never been opened. It was just so clean and dustless, no crumbs, no nothing. It had barely been used on the outside. So if anybody wants it, they can have it. I'm sure they can fix it, figure it out.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing I want to be able to do is fix consoles, be able to properly diagnose them and fix them, because I have a lot of consoles in my inventory that don't work, and I would like to be able to fix those.
That's probably a good idea. I should probably just practice on the Game Gear, the busted one, right? Practice a little bit more. Yeah,
it's just, man, there's a lot that goes into that, man. A lot of stuff you have to learn. Thankfully, we live in an age where all this knowledge is at our fingertips, pretty much, on the internet, YouTube especially. So, I mean, like soldering, for example, I taught myself the basics of soldering in about 5 days by just watching a shitload of YouTube videos. And then when I finally got my iron, I bought a couple of practice kits and took what I learned in the YouTube videos and did the practice kits, and it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. I don't know if I just got lucky or if I did a decent job so far, with the exception of the Game Gear, but I've had more good than bad, right? So,
yeah. I'll tell you one thing though, dude, trying to solder really tiny capacitors or resistors, jeez.
I made a Game Boy macro. You take a DS, you get rid of the top screen, and you just use the lower half as a Game Boy Advance, effectively, or Game Boy. And there's only one capacitor you have to solder on, and that was like, I did surprisingly well. Or is it one capacitor? One or two, it doesn't matter, but because you have to trick it into thinking that the top screen isn't there. So Game Gears, if the screen or the sound isn't quite working, then you have to replace all of the capacitors, certain capacitors, and there's 12, I believe.
Damn,
that's going to be thrilling. And then the backlight mod that I'm doing on it, you have to remove the old screen, and the old screen has like 60 pins, and you have to
man.
solder like a little thin board, like a wafer thin
Ooh.
board with very few pads, and you
Yeah.
have to drag it like so
Yeah.
it doesn't accidentally touch some of the other pins that are millimeters apart. I had to use my iPhone, whatever the version of my iPhone that I have is, with a really good camera on it, and zoom so far in, and it like shows you like macro.
Yeah.
And I would just take a picture of or zoom in after I would do it and see that I actually made it and I didn't bridge any points. That was what I was doing last night. That was like an hour of sweating, and I accidentally burned myself because it was concentrating on that.
Yeah.
Solder iron burns are no fucking joke.
Yeah. I hope that doesn't happen, but it probably will.
I told you I burnt my thumb
Mm-hmm.
the other day. I burnt the top of my pinky. I don't even know how. I think I like set it down
Yeah.
and like I was trying to turn something meticulously and not lose something, and I like bumped it ever so slightly.
I mean, dude, they're so hot that even if you just touch your skin for just a split second, you're gonna burn yourself.
That's another reason I told you this morning I got an actual soldering station so you could put it in the damn hole that it belongs in the meantime.
Yep. Yep.
Sure, you're not gonna like. I have one of those silicone pads. Sure, you can sit it down on the pad, and it's not gonna burn the pad or make it melt or anything. But it's just sitting right there, and the thing comes with like a little piddly stand that doesn't really do anything. So it's my own fault. So I'm upgrading. I can't. I spent a week and a half with this thing. I'm done with it.
Yeah. So you just caught my interest on something. Tell me more about this DS mod, because I've seen that before.
Oh, the macro?
Yeah, and I'm very interested in that mod.
It's pretty easy in terms of the mod itself.
Yeah.
The mod itself is just fine. You can get shells. The Boxy Pixel makes a metal anodized shell. And did I say that right? I think I did. Shell, and you could do it that way, where you take it out of the dumpy plastic shell that has the ugly hinge on the top and put it in there. Or there's eBay sellers. I did a review of one that has like a 3D printed shell. Those they're cheap for a reason, you know. That's what I did in the video. The D-pad doesn't sit right. It's really mushy. There's a lot to be desired there. I have another Game Boy macro shell that I got from a nice eBay seller that wants me to review it, but so much happened. I feel so bad. I should probably message him that I still want to do it. I forgot all about that. But yeah, it's really easy. You could, of course, Dremel down the hinge, the ugly bumps that are there after you take the top half off, and have it just be smooth, and maybe epoxy in the holes and stuff and paint it. A lot of people do that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, what you end up with is a lower half of a DS Lite. You can also use a standard DS. And it's got the, you know how it works. The GBA or the Game Boy or the Game Boy Color game goes in the bottom slot, and it's a much nicer screen. It's maybe for the people who don't want to bother updating their GBA screen. Maybe they want to, I don't know. I really don't know who it's for exactly, but it's a bigger screen for sure.
Bigger, yeah.
You know, and you have 4 buttons though, so that's the other thing too. The shells that you get, if you get like a replacement shell that's only for a macro, you just take out the X and Y buttons and there's no even spot for them, so you only feel that. The problem I have with it is the angle in which the buttons are. I think it's more of an angle than like a Game Boy Advance would be. So I have a Game Boy macro now. I intend on getting a better shell for it. I put in the work. I want it to be the best version I can do for it. So maybe my next video will be this guy's shell that he sent me, and then in the future it'll be upgrading to the creme de la creme, the Boxy Pixel metal shell. Like I feel like that's where a lot of my Game Boy mods are going to end up. Is the Retro 6 shells are nice.
They are.
If you like plastic. I don't know. Maybe the metal might be too heavy to use for extended periods of time.
I think I would like that. I think I would like a little bit more weight.
That's why I said I like the first generation PSP, because it's just a hefty boy. It just has weight to it, and when you drop it, you know you're going to be able to pick it up and ain't shit broken about it. You know.
That's true.
Something survive.
Are you still planning on doing the hingeless SP mod at some point?
That Boxy Pixel has?
Yeah.
I've written to them countless times about getting review stuff. They don't reply to me. They reply to other people, as I've seen on YouTube, but I'm just too low on the rung of things at this point. You got to work your way up the ladder, and I respect that. So do I plan on doing it? Yes. Do I think I'll do it soon? No, I think I go back and forth on the SP. I don't know that I actually like it all that much. It's a nice system. It's skinnier than I would like it to be, and my thumbs are closer together as an adult. So I like the taco scenario, like the N-Gage style, Game Boy. So Yeah, I think I prefer that more. But ultimately, at the end of the day, maybe. I just don't. The hinges on all these clamshell devices ultimately go out, and you got to repair them. And the hinges are the beast of it all. Yeah. And I've gotten lucky. I don't play all those handhelds all that often, or if I do play Game Boy Advance handhelds, I switch between them, or I'll use the Game Boy player, right? So maybe one day, but honestly, I don't know how I feel if it's long and then I drop it.
Yeah.
Sure, the metal will survive, but the screen is now exposed.
Yeah.
But how's that any different than all the other ones that I have?
It's
I
true.
don't know.
Yeah. I'm kind of interested in the analog NT. Have you seen that?
Are you talking about the handheld one? Or are you talking about the console one? Yeah, I thought it was called. Yeah, I thought it was called the Pocket or something. I could be
something
wrong.
like that. I can't remember.
The
but
NT, the NT was like the Nintendo, right?
Yeah. I can't remember what it's called, but
they have so many stupid, goofy names. Just call it the Analog Nintendo Entertainment System ripoff. Call it the Game Boy look-alike.
It's pretty sweet though, dude. It has a lot of cool features.
Two things. One, they never reply to my emails, and again, fair enough. But they don't even. I mean, when I say my emails, I mean the emails coming from Hack Informer that has the clout of 95,000 unique readers a month, 14,000 plus subscribers. I don't know if they want somebody with like Metal Jesus caliber stuff.
Who knows?
I guess because it's expensive, right? But at least the good thing is this time you and I are more likely to be able to get our hands on one, because now they said that they're not going to allow anybody to, like, they have like ways of catching bots now, and they're going online to see if people are pre-selling things on eBay, like, oh, I got the pre-order, like, and they're just finding out who those people are. I don't know how, maybe based off of IP address or something, but they're going to mitigate that a little bit more, and maybe that gives us a chance. And hopefully that means they also make more stock, you know?
Yeah, for real.
Just because you're not having somebody buy all 50 of the ones you have in stock doesn't mean that 50 other people with more time and more money than me can get to it faster than me aren't going to get all 50 of them first, you know?
Yeah.
Think of the little guy, Analog.
Yeah, for real.
You're made of little guys. You should know better. Come on, guys.
The demand is there. Don't leave money on the table. Meet that demand.
I'm guessing it's all a matter of manufacturing.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah,
that's I mean that's the problem with the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, to the point that the president is making an executive order for all electronics because some key thing that needs to be made in mass to be able to make all of these other things. They're going to investigate it from point A to point B to figure out where along the way is the problems being caused and can we fix it. And hopefully that'll fix the shortage of, because it's not just those things. Technically, I think Dell and HP has less laptops that they're able to make right now. But not that anybody's really looking for laptops from HP and Dell either.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting time right now, man.
It's a hard time to want electronics.
Yeah.
And everybody always wants to upgrade all the time, always.
Yep. Yeah, we live in an age where pretty much everything's obsolete within a few months almost sometimes, man.
Yeah.
You know,
I am surprised that the current generation of consoles it's been 7 years since I bought my PS4. I didn't think the PS4 was going to be relevant for that long this time around. I thought the technology was going to jump forward much faster. But like I said, I'm collecting one of every console. So when I get a PS5 and an Xbox Series X, just because they can play the same discs, doesn't matter. I always keep the old consoles, and whether I use them, I'll put them in a box if I don't, or if I have to use a PlayStation 4 controller, Sony, listen, if I have to use a PlayStation 4 controller anyway to play these games, I'm just going to play them on your PlayStation 4. You know, I'm sure that other people aren't, but I really don't want to swap back and forth. I just want to hit go on the controller and it turn on the right system. You know, make your PlayStation 5 console controllers, you play PlayStation 4 games, and then we can, you know, sell off all those other things if we want to or not.
You can play PlayStation 4 games with the PS5 controller.
What? Since when? That was like one of the things everybody bitched about before it came out, or maybe that was like something that they've patched since then. Okay, Sony.
Yeah, I played Uncharted 4, Until Dawn, Control. I've played a lot of PS4 games.
Okay, good.
PS5 with the controller.
I don't know if it was a rumor then.
It might have been,
it might have been
a rumor. Yeah,
but I just remember media going and running with it. So
you know how media is, man. They'll freaking run with everything, even if it's not.
But it's not like it would have discouraged anybody from buying a PS5 because nobody can get their hands on a PS5.
Yeah.
You know, so okay, well that's good to know. So maybe my PS4 Pro that my friends got me, I'll mod that one. When I get my PS5, play my PS5 online, mod my PS4 Pro, and then sell off my OG PS4.
Yeah, there you go, man. There you go.
Upgrading.
Well, listen, man, before we close out the podcast, anything else you want to say or anything else you want to plug?
I mean, there's all kinds of fun things. Obviously, like, you know, my YouTube channel is my fun side thing that I do. It makes me no money. I don't monetize anything. I don't have commercials. Hopefully nobody sees ads when they watch my videos. I just do it for the fun of it. It would be nice to have more subscribers. If you want to go watch my videos and you like me, that's fine. Please do that. I'm not going to force that down anybody's throat. All my other stuff, well, I do have a side business. I'll talk about that right now real quick. I love horror movies. I love horror movies. And my girlfriend loves horror movies, and that's a shared passion that we have.
Nice.
There was a local guy who owns a horror business, and he was selling it because his life got real. He got a raise and a promotion and all these things, and he couldn't do this thing anymore. And the whole local horror community moaned with exasperation that this business couldn't continue anymore. So we bought it. And it is called Rotten Rentals, and you can go to rottenrentals.com.
I've heard of that one. I've heard of that.
You might have just seen it on my Twitter, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. That's where I saw it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm small potatoes here, but we do have people that try to buy from Canada and Mexico and, you know, all across the country and whatnot. But so all that they are for the horror fans interested is they are VHS clamshells. I don't have one handy, and I have all my station over there. They're VHS clamshells, as everybody remembers them, and we have horror covers on them. Some are just classic horror covers that have existed all along. Other ones were movies that never got VHS releases, and we make custom covers for those.
Nice.
And it's effectively just horror mystery boxes. It's not like a subscription-based thing where you have to pay for it. And it's not actually a rental, as the name implies. It's just supposed to evoke, you know, the history and the feeling of going to a rental store. So you scroll through a website and you see all these things come back to you. But yeah, you get a horror mystery box, and when you open it, there's fun stuff inside. There's pens, patches, magnets.
Nice.
Oh my God, trading card packs galore, minifigures, stuff like that. So it's horror merchandise. And we just basically kind of do what you do with your lots. We source stuff from eBay, like old comic book shops that don't want these things anymore, that are shut down, and people just selling off stuff they find in their attic. And we just put it in all these boxes. We dole it out to people, and it's just completely random. And it's just fun stuff to buy. We have the regular boxes that are just, we have like over 200 covers for that. We have special edition ones that are that have more stuff in there, so they cost more, obviously, but they also have stuff related to the movie. So there is still a mystery element to it. You don't know what stuff that's related to it's going to be in there. So it has the standard fare plus stuff related to the movie, or just has double the stuff inside if it doesn't have stuff related to the movie. And then we have limited edition stuff too, which we work with like local filmmakers or filmmakers just trying to get the name out there, or we just do the same thing where it's movies that everybody loves and is aware of, but we work with, instead of working with local filmmakers and the like, we work with, oh my God, I just drew a blank. We work with artists that make horror art and stuff, and then they make the cover for us. And so it's a limited run thing. So they make money and we make money, and the customers still get fun, unique stuff. So yeah, that's a side hustle, I would say. It doesn't make us, hand over fist and money by any means. But it's just so fun, and when we get to go to conventions and stuff and sell it in person, it's just really nice to see people still love horror, but also be like, wait, so it's not a movie inside? So then what's inside? And you tell them, like, you don't fucking know until you open it. And then they're like, okay, I'll buy one. Or they know who we are because we have this history where he started it in 2012 and we bought it in 2018 or something. And so we're just keeping this going.
I'm intrigued by this, man. I'm gonna check it out. I might buy one. I'm intrigued by this.
Yeah, we sent one to John Riggs. He opened one before last Halloween. He always does like videos where he opens stuff that he's bought or stuff that was sent to him. And we have shirts too, obviously, that are unique to our business and stuff like that. But
cool, man.
And there's some third thing. Oh yeah, the expo. Obviously, we have an expo that we're tentatively planning to do in February 2020. The all-in-one gaming expo is what we're calling it. You already know that. But
wait, did you say February 2020?
2022. I'm sorry. We're gonna go back in time, actually. Gamers love going back in time anyway, right?
Yeah, right.
If anybody did invent it, it'd be them. No, in 2022, right? Not this year, but one chronological year from this month. And the idea is that we don't have these local game conventions. The nearest one to us is all the way in St. Louis, Missouri, which for those who don't live in this area is 3 hours away from us. So it's the next biggest city we're a flyover state. I don't know if the state you live in is a flyover state, but we effectively
Yeah,
are.
sort
Kansas
of.
City is big.
Yeah.
St. Louis is big. Everybody knows the Arch,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but in surrounding areas, Gaming Off the Grid, I think, lives past Omaha, Nebraska or something, and they're like the next biggest city area. So the point is we have these like clusters, but we don't have like cities galore all around us and everything. So instead of making everybody drive 3 hours one way or 3 hours another, we're trying to get Kansas City and the surrounding areas to, you know, show their true colors. We know that they come to local conventions and stuff. We know that they want to buy games. We know that they buy games online. We know that they want to do buy, sell, trade stuff. So we want to put it smack dab in the heart of Kansas City and try to bring the things that I've seen at other game conventions that are worth their salt.
Are you going to spin up a website for that close to the?
That's the next thing to do. It's kind of hard because we don't know how many vendors and businesses want to be there. So we don't know how large of a venue space. So I think we're just going to choose 3 different sizes, find out their square footage, find out how many people and things we could fit in there, and then go from there. But we're going to send out a massive email list to all the local businesses first, and then all the local Facebook groups and resellers and stuff will reach out to them secondary, I think, is how that's going to work. But long story short, it's called the All-in-One Gaming Expo because the idea is that gaming isn't just video games, and it's not just new games, and it's not just esports, and it's not just retro games. It's also tabletop games, but it's not just that. It's also people that love the physical games, that play arcade games, that play, you know, DDR, that play, that literally play darts, or do you guys call it cornhole where you're from? The game where you throw the bags? That's the dirtiest goddamn name. Let's not call it cornhole.
It really is.
The hole's not made of corn. The bag, does the bag have corn in it? Is that why it's called it?
You know, people are like, hey, let's go cornholing.
Yeah, I don't. But anyway, you get the gist. Like but it's not just that. It's also game develop. We want to find local game creators or like people that maybe make games from somewhere else and just want to send their stuff over, and we set up a PC and people can try it or try like mobile games that are on the up and coming and things like that. We want to hit everything. We have a local historical video game museum that you can play the history at in St. Louis. Nice. So I want to try to get them come. I think that it's not just buy, sell, trade. It's play, it's experience, it's learn, it's everything that it should be. You know, it's watch. If some people just love to spectate and I just think that there's not enough of that. And
I like the sound of that, man.
I think there just needs to be more of a community around gaming instead of butting heads and collecting and trying to find things above other people. And
I totally agree.
That's why I invited you.
Yeah,
so I don't know if anybody knows that, but if you want to come, you know, don't feel obligated to come if you have something pop up, of course. But,
I mean, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't be able to. I mean, February 2022 gives me plenty of time to plan for it. So
right, yeah. So those are the things going on in my life. You know, I have a day job, obviously, and my Rotten Rentals take secondary. And this, you know, you got to keep the businesses that you're reviewing stuff for happy. But as long as you do it within a month, they're generally not harping down your throat too much. So I'm glad that it gave us a year. And if November comes and it's still looking like things are bad, I'm not going to put anybody in a dangerous scenario. We'll just push the event from February to May and try again. You know, and if in February it's still bad, we'll just keep pushing it. It's not sad that we're pushing it because people don't know what they're missing with us. You know, like, oh, not another PRGE postponed. So,
well, hopefully by then everything will be back to normal, man. So
I hope so.
Gotta be positive. But yeah, I'll throw a link to your YouTube channel in the description down below, as well as rottenrentals.com. Hack Informer. Do you have like a writer's page on Hack Informer?
There is. Yeah, there's like a thing. In fact, they just fixed it because the site had been broken in that regard, but they just fixed it where it shows all the things I've done, and it covers everything from mods to reviews of games to reviews of hardware to this chair I'm sitting in. This was another product I reviewed. So everything in the game space.
Sweet. So yeah, if you have a link for that to throw my way, that would be awesome. I can throw that in the description as well for people.
I will do that. Yeah, I have that. Man, I'm more comfortable now than I was at the beginning. We should just play it in reverse.
Yeah.
And people will really understand what the hell's going on, I'm sure.
But yeah, man, again, thanks for coming on the podcast. It was good to talk to you about this stuff. And I'm sure me and you will be talking a lot more about mods and stuff offline. So look forward to talking to you some more, man.
Yeah. Thank you again.
And again, everybody, I will leave all the links that I mentioned in the description down below. So his YouTube channel, the Hack Informer page that he's going to send me a link to, Rotten Rentals. Also throw your social media. I know you're on Twitter. Are you on Instagram as well?
Yeah, Yes, technically, but I don't do anything with it, so you can skip that.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, we'll just throw the Twitter in the description then, and so
Cool.
people can follow you on Twitter.
And you know, whenever I get the All-in-One Gaming Expo website made, as
Yeah,
opposed to
yeah,
using their Facebook, I could put that in the description down below. I mean,
Yeah,
not the description. I could put that
in
in
the
the
comments.
comments
Yep.
down below.
Sounds good, man. And hey, you know what? By then I may have you on again and give you a chance to plug that some more. So
Yeah.
So all right. Well, listen, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. As usual, stay safe out there, keep playing games and having a good time, and we'll catch you all in the next one later.